Investigation after the fire was put out revealed that in all probability the fire was caused by a problem in the electrical panel, and that problem within the electrical panel, in my belief, was the smart meter that was installed in the panel by PG&E.
Welcome back. First off, I wanted to let you guys know that everything that I'm going to show you in this video, you could find out for yourself. And remember, the scriptures say, my people perish from a lack of knowledge. So we're going to get right into it. I want to just explain to you guys some of the information that I found, and I think you're going to find it very interesting. So stay to the very end of the video, because I'm going to be dropping them in here left, right, left, right, left, right. And by the time we get done with this, you'll be able to draw your own conclusion and then plan accordingly. Everybody knows that California is on fire right now, so let's take a look at the leadership. We have Gavin Newsom, who's been the governor of California for over a decade. I highlighted in the last video that the voters of California even put together a proposition for billions of dollars to help with the water infrastructure and to have more storage capabilities. In the decade that he's been in office, he hasn't done one single thing to advance that program. Also, I will say that Gavin Newsom has bragged about taking 4 dams down in the area that created some hydroelectricity, which a lot of people have been talking about. Also, that Gavin Newsom is diverting the snow melt and watershed from up north, like putting it right into the ocean when he could be bringing it down into the reservoirs. I also highlighted in my last video that Gavin Newsom has been spraying or seed clouding for the last bunch of years. They had 3 of their wettest years on record. They were in a surplus of water, and then for some reason 12 months ago he stopped the program. Well, that seems kind of suspect to me, and it's also how we got here. But I'd also like to bring to your attention that Gavin Newsom was the mayor of San Francisco. A lot of people forget that stuff. They also don't know that he's the nephew of Nancy Pelosi, who was also running San Francisco and destroying California. But I digress. Here's an article about Gavin Newsom walking with more than a dozen members of the Young Global Leaders organization in San Francisco back in the day. Well, why are you bringing that up, Doug? Well, I'm going to lay out in this video too for you guys why the people in charge of California do not have loyalties to California. They have loyalties to programs that are subverting our constitutional republic. So do yourself a favor, spend a little time looking up the WEF and Young Global Leaders program. Because when the pandemic happened and I saw what was happening globally, I knew that they had all of their players in position, and now they would start ramping up their goals. Now you also got to look at the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass. I found this interesting clip about Karen Bass.
November 7, 1983. Remember this date, but first, let me introduce you to Karen Bass. Back in the 1970s, community activist Karen Bass went on at least 15 trips to Cuba, many with a group known as the Venceremos Brigade, a Marxist group started by the Castro regime to subvert American interests, weaken democracies, and spread communism around the world. Founded in 1969, the Venceremos Brigade organized trips to Cuba every year for half a century. They attracted the most radicalized and delusional segments of the American left, including overtly Maoist and pro-Soviet communist groups. In fact, a Los Angeles police investigator who infiltrated the group testified to Congress saying that to be a member of the brigade, you had to be confirmed as a Marxist-Leninist. As a brigadista and then moving up the ranks to organizer for the Venceremos Brigade, Karen Bass visited Cuba every 6 months. Their mission? To radicalize young, impressionable American leftists in terrorist tactics and guerrilla warfare. Members of the Venceremos Brigade were even taught how to make bombs. Karen Bass admits, on her many pilgrimages to Cuba, she went to see Fidel Castro speak several times, even calling him charismatic. And upon his death, praised him, saying, "The passing of Commandant en Jefe is a great loss to the people of Cuba," even though the people of Cuba see him as a dictator who impoverished their island. Another group, the M19, took its belief in revolutionary anti-imperialism to extremes, violent extremes. The M19 was the first and only women-created and women-led domestic terrorist group. Since their founding in 1978, M19's tactics escalated from robbing armored trucks and abetting prison breaks to building their own explosives and carrying out terrorist bombings. From 1983 to 1984, M19 bombed an FBI office, the Israel Aircraft Industries building, the South African consulate in New York, DC's Fort McNair, and Navy Yard, which they bombed twice. But that wasn't enough for them. On the night of November 7, 1983, the M19 called the US Capitol switchboard and warned them to evacuate the building. Minutes later, the M19 bombed the north wing of the US Capitol. November 7, 2023 marks 40 years since the M19's bombing of the US Capitol. Members of the M19, like Susan Rosenberg, traveled to Cuba with and were radicalized by the Vence Ramos Brigade. The South Los Angeles Vence Ramos Brigade was led by Karen Bass, who is now mayor of Los Angeles.
So now you see what I'm saying? They've made loyalties and oaths to other organizations that are out to subvert America. I don't know if you know this or not, but Karen Bass was slated to be the VP to Joe Biden. Whew. I dug up this old clip of Deborah Tavares, and she's talking about the plan to burn California. Folks, listen to this little bit of information and tell me what you think.
Right. Okay, so I'm here today because we received a media advisory of this meeting held at the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors. And it says they invite community members to attend and provide input to guide post-fire recovery efforts at a workshop on infrastructure today, Tuesday, February the 27th, 2018. And there will be other local, state, and federal officials will be taking part as well. So they talk about the topics that will be discussed to include and prepare for a resilient city.
Did you hear Deborah talk about the 100 resilient cities? The Rockefellers. So all you have to do is just Google 100 resilient cities, and you can see a list of the cities that have already committed to this without even asking their constituents.
It's all about resiliency, fire safety, utility infrastructure, and strengthening and improving our community warning programs. So I want to go over some of the things that I heard in this meeting. It's very diabolical. All the perpetrators of this event are here. They're building up from a planned disaster by the use of directed energy weapons, which you can hear that interview in full by Googling the plan to burn up Northern California. And I am, of course, Deborah Tavares, and I do run the website stopthecrime.net, where you can find that plan to burn up Northern California as well. But the agenda here today by the perpetrators here in Northern California was to again discuss the community warning program, preparing for a more resilient county. Now, for many of you, I've reported on resilient cities. I would recommend that you go to the YouTube Kill Cities by Rothschild and Rockefeller to understand what resilient planning is all about in your town. And this is as a result of a weaponized weather assault. And that is now the new norm, increased weaponized weather assaults. We have been told that fire season in California will no longer be just a fire season as it had been in the past. It will be all year long. And we know certainly with the plan to burn up Northern California, how they're doing that with killing the trees, with all the toxins from the chemtrailing, the drought that they keep us perpetually in, and we're in a drought again right now. So thank you so very much for listening, and pass this information along far and wide. More importantly, I will leave you with this. We have primary water. We do not have a water shortage. This is the PSYOPs now being played out in Cape Town in South Africa. They've just extended the 0 day that they keep talking about no more water. We discovered the PSYOPs being played here in Northern California in a town called Mountain House. Mountain House, about 4 years ago, was being shown throughout the United States as running out of water in 10 days. When our research team called some realtors in Mountain House, we discovered that they did not even know that their town was being used as a PSYOPs. So as we looked into it, we found that Mountain House was purchased by Sun Trust in the mid-90s. We researched Sun Trust, which was Rothschild. Mountain House was built as an UN Agenda 21 smart city, fully self-contained. It runs by CCNRs. It has a very peculiar city setup, and the financing for buying homes is through the USDA. And this was just really literally a town set up to to create a psyops on limited water resources. They got busted. So you need to understand, we don't have a water shortage. When you hear water shortages being discussed, you need to go out and get the information.
Getting into how they possibly could do it with DEW weapons, DEW, please Google that, or with smart meters. Hold on now. Did you know that California has a bunch of lawsuits already from people claiming and have evidence of smart meters catching fire on the sides of their homes?
Central Valley homeowners say there's a troubling cause of fires like this one, and it's not carelessness or negligence. They blame a device attached to thousands of homes, which is supposed to make tracking your energy usage easier for PG&E. 10 million homes in Central and Northern California have smart meters calculating electric bills.
In an Action News special assignment tonight, anchor Corin Hoggard investigated some fiery complaints about the device in Fresno County.
It can happen in a flash. Fiery videos posted to YouTube by several homeowners show fires they blame on smart meters. Valdez and his family ran out, and by that time, firefighters had already started pouring water on the house. He noticed several PG&E employees got there almost as quickly, and he says one of them removed the smart meter while the firefighters worked. Fireball's fire chief saw it too. He says he's never seen that before, but he thinks he knows why they may have wanted the device.
Investigation after the fire was put out revealed that in all probability the fire was caused by a problem in the electrical panel, and that problem within the electrical panel, in my belief, was the smart meter that was installed in the panel by PG&E.
Dozens of people have blamed smart meters for fires over the last several years, and the issue has been a topic of discussion for the California Public Utilities Commission. Jose Valdez isn't convinced. His insurance company is suing PG&E over the fire at his house, and they're not alone. A few months earlier, the same thing happened at this home in Kerman. Attorneys say electricity surged at the smart meter that was right here, and it caused a fire.
Active arcing going on, electrical activity happening with flames going up the side of the house.
Fresno firefighters put out the fire at the Sandoval home. Deputy Fire Marshal Don McAlpine says there's no clear evidence it started with a smart meter malfunction, but their investigation doesn't rule it out.
Yeah, this is a thing. Here's another clip of somebody at the fires who said she talked to the resident and he said he does not have a smart meter on this one, but there was one on the back bungalow.
So I talked to the owner of this house right here in Pasadena. I talked to the owner. The owner does not have a smart meter on this house, on the front part of his house. There's no smart meter, no smart meter. So the house did not burn. The back house is the part of the house that had the smart meter, and everything in the back of his house is burnt. No smart meter, smart meter. No smart meter, nothing. Nothing's burned. Well, the trees, but the house state is perfectly fine. But the back house is completely gone. And that's,
I mean, this just gets better and better, right? So now what we want to do is we want to look at PG&E, right? Pacific Gas and Electric, because, you know, they've had a lot of fires in California over the last bunch of years. Some of them have been highly suspect. So I did a little digging into PG&E, and you heard Deborah say who owned them. So listen, I know that was a little bit to chew on, but I just want you guys to know that nothing is happening organic, and nothing that you're seeing is incompetence, okay? These are very smart people who took a lot of time to plan all of this out. Please do not fall for the incompetence thing. All that is doing is to keep you frustrated and mad, thinking that it's incompetence, so you don't see that there's a bigger picture play going on here. So you just keep being the frog in the pot, and when you finally realize it, it's going to be too late. Share this video with your friends so they can see all these weird connections, and please understand that every day your life is going to get more difficult, especially here in America. Y'all, this is January 12th. We've had a truck bomb in front of the Trump. We've had another guy run into a crowd, get out, start shooting, and then he had pipe bombs inside of his truck. We've also had California catch on fire. I think Sir Walter Scott said it best. Oh, what tangled web we weave when first we practiced to deceive. Share this video with your friends. Make sure you're subscribed, because they're unsubscribing us. Did you know Karen Bass was a VP pick for Joe Biden? Did you know Karen Bass went to Cuba with this program and she's a Marxist, right? How come all these people that we're looking at have these Marxist connections? And why are they in our government? Man, that is a great question, especially here in America. And before we realize what's really going on, it might be too late. All right, see you guys on the next video. Thumbs up that video and share it with your friends. I also find it highly suspect that these names keep popping up every time something bad's going on. Is it just a coincidence? You decide.